Hi everyone, Dvora Esther here. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Kosher 2.0. I just want to start out by saying thank you to Hashem as always for not only waking me up, but his incredible mercy in giving me health and allowing me to join alongside you guys in your journey in healthcare. And it is a journey, and for some of us it's easier than others. If you've not been born with, these traditions of more natural living, it's a little bit harder to incorporate, but for sure, everyone has, grandma's remedies. And, really there's a lot of wisdom to grab from that. And I want to focus more today on a more fun side of the natural living and healing, and to talk about some of the oils that have just become some of my personal favorites. And I got to tell you, my grandmother and her family, my mom, they all have, a tradition really of natural healing and remedies. They come from a converso background. So, they weren't really always with the public, and they kind of like isolated themselves. So it was very important for them to know how to treat certain things. But, it wasn't just the hardcore stuff. They had some great tips and tricks for, topically. And they knew about things that, from certain countries that just, I don't think is like well known. So it's always interesting. But I'm going to try to limit how many I talk about, because if you let me, Mamasha, I'll go on forever, because it's such a fascinating thing. Some of these things are just, I'm always amazed by the ability that Hashem has put into nature to kind of just be like, just super. It's amazing. They're really, Hashem is just wonderful in his wisdom. And, sometimes you see some of these oils being used by, the animals in nature, and why they're using them. And it's just so fascinating. It's so fascinating. But, I'm going to try as best as I can to limit this, because I'm just going to run away with it if you let me. But so I'm not going to talk about like tea tree, because everybody really knows about that. I don't think I have to rehash that. Unless you guys think that I do, then, give me a shout, and maybe we'll have to do a more extensive. And I'm not going to really talk about argan oil, though everybody, knows a lot about argan oil. It's pretty famous at this point. It's really known for its beauty treatments, and they're putting it in hair products and everything, and for good reason. It's very high in vitamin A, vitamin E, and the essential fatty acids. So it's very good. At first, I remember when it first came out, they were touting it was very expensive, and now it's just, it's become a dime a dozen. So it's pretty easy to get. But I want to talk about something called baobab. And, for our listeners who are in South Africa, you I'm sure are very familiar with this tree, the baobab tree. But people from, outside of that region may not have heard of baobab, and they may not know much about it. And baobab is really, really, for a few years now, it's just become like one of my favorites. And for good reason. I'm really shocked that it's not more spoken about. Baobab is a tree that comes from Africa, and it's legendary for its ability to hold, thousands upon thousands of gallons of water in its trunk. And it's one of the highest, it has one of the highest ORAC scores. And we talked about ORAC scores in the antioxidant portion of this broadcast. And it's amazing, but I put it in my shake, and it's amazing for you internally, but it's even more amazing topically. It's just amazing. I do a blend of certain oils depending on, how my skin feels that day. Every day is different, but baobab is it's really, really great. It's an excellent moisturizer. And I myself am, used to be acne prone and cystic acne prone. And it's been actually very good for that whole thing, which, really almost seems like it makes no sense, oil on oily skin. But I promise you, it really is it's a great thing to have if you can get a hold of it. And it does protect the skin in both the higher and the lower temps. So it is really, really great. It's got a lot of healing properties for wounds. So even for like rashes or anything like that, it's has an anti-inflammatory properties as well. And, you can use it really for anything, for your face, for your lips, for rashes. So it's really, really good. I highly, highly recommend it. It's one of those things that, again, a lot of people don't talk about it, but it's really, it could be one of your healthy living best friends for so many reasons. And it's also great, in your hair. And it's good. It just gives you a nice moisturization on your hair if you're really, really dry, especially in the summer months. And speaking of hair, Marula, not Marcusia, Marula. So a lot of people are starting to know, the Marcusia oils that come out of the Amazon, but Marula is a little bit different. And I have to tell you, I love Marula, not for my face. Now that doesn't mean that wouldn't be great for you. I just didn't love it for my face the way I loved it for my hair. And I don't even know if I can put into words the transformation it did for my hair almost immediately, because it gave it this sheen without it being too oily. Now, of course, anything in excess is anything in excess. You can't overdo it with some of these oils, but I mean, you have to try it just once and just get it, and try it. And, there's some brands, I think like Paul Mitchell or something like that, who put in their shampoos and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, I personally don't buy it that way, because I think, sometimes these companies, they take a great thing and then they slap an outrageous price tag on it and say, it's all in the name of beauty. And I think you can achieve a lot of that without A, all the chemicals that they're putting in it, and B, at a much lower price in a more purer form, in a much more pure form. And while Marula oil itself, may not be, in your local Walgreens or whatever have you. It is a little bit more of a higher end oil, but it is available. It's not that hard to find. And I'm going to list some companies. I'm going to speak about some companies that kind of sell these things, and you can get it. But I really, really like that for your hair. So it's just great for giving a moisturization. And another oil that a lot of people have never heard of is tamanu oil. Now, tamanu, I put it in a blend with my baobab every time. Tamanu, it's when it comes to oils, I feel like it's like choosing between your children. Which one do you love more? I really, really love these oils because they're just so amazing. And, tamanu it's like a must-have, especially if you have acne-prone skin. Tamanu is amazing. It's Tamanu oil, tamanu. It's great for anti-inflammatory. So even if you've been post-sun, this is really good. Mix it with a little bit of aloe, and it really will start to help heal, even for your children. So it's really, really great. It's got germicidal properties, and it's just great for anti-aging. So it's like a really great oil. And again, I like to mix them both, one and the same, and just put it on. And wintertime, it's like it's an everyday thing in the wintertime for sure. So another one I really like. Now I'm going to talk a little bit, in greater detail about this one, because this one, it's pretty versatile. But when I say what it is, it's and it's called Propolis. Now, Propolis is the resin material that bees use to seal cracks and gaps in the hive. And the resin is kind of a combo of tree resin and honey. And I think, the bees have something else that they, mix in. Everybody's got their own remedies, and the bees are no exception. It's been used as far back as in ancient times for someone who has an abscess or minor wounds. And the bees, also use it in the hive to keep out microbes, to kind of keep the hive sanitary. So, when we were talking about the wisdom of Hashem that he even gives to the animals, it's just amazing, that they have this kind of system to keep them safe as well. Hashem wasn't kidding. He feeds everyone, he really, really does. So I think that's just wonderful. And, researchers who've tested it reported that that it was was very powerful even against the most aggressive of bacteria. So, and some people, use it as a natural antibiotic, but if you have like a bee allergen or something, that's something you obviously want to consider. I have it, I love it. It's one of those things that you may not need it all the time, but it's great to have when you need it. Again, a lot of people don't know about this. They know about royal jelly, and this is not the same, just so everyone's aware. This is not the same as royal jelly, and royal jelly in its own, it's very phenomenal for its healing properties in the body. So this is called Propolis, and it's something different. And so now I want to move on to another favorite of mine, which is Neem oil. Now, like many of you have heard me talk about Neem prior, and Neem oil is great for a lot of things. And it's one of those things that it's not, people don't just take it topically, they do take it internally. But please hear this, but with the Neem oil, especially if you're in childbearing years, you want to research some of the side effects, which from my research, I've not found them to be permanent, but you still want to know about them. Don't just take it internally. Okay. But, topically, it's great as a mosquito repellent. So, summertime alert, everybody's got their kids outside playing. And especially now you hear all these things with Zika and this and that. And, Neem oil is a very, very good repellent. And I'll tell you a little secret that my grandmother has. I don't ever recall us using off, that bug spray off. And what she does is she makes a mixture of oil and she puts it on the whole body. And they really, I think if they even try, they get all, mixed up in the oil, and they just, but Neem has a slight scent to it. It's not horrendous, but it does have a slight scent to it that kind of puts off the mosquitoes, and it is really great. And they also do treat cattle to kill parasites. So when I say it's really, these things they're just amazing. And skin wise, it stimulates the collagen production, and it helps with dry skin and acne and eczema, because, it's very rich in EFAs, and essential fatty acids, which are EFAs, are great for skin health. And everyone, I highly recommend, should be supplementing with that as well, to kind of help the skin from the inside and out. So, Neem, what a lot of people really love is that if you're suffering from hair loss or dandruff and you got that itchy scalp, this is great for that. It's great for that. And it's also a home remedy for lice, so hopefully you're not, you're not dealing with that. But if you are, and you're looking to go a more natural route, this may be a way that you want to do that, and it is higher in antioxidants than even the blueberry or spinach, so, it's really something you want to look into. But again, with caution, like it's one of those things, just because it's natural, this is the thing, is because it's natural. If you don't know how to use these things either, you can get yourself in trouble. This is like the same thing with the detox. You should always, look at some of the things, and consider the source. I will tell you that, consider the source of where you're pulling your information from, because I think some people, I think anyone can just throw anything up on the internet these days, and it becomes like, like as if Moshe Rabbeinu came down and said this was the new, the new law. This is not, it's one of those things. You have to consider the source. You have to, go through and investigate a lot of these things before you're trying to, especially if you're going to introduce them to your family. You don't want to just go out there willy-nilly, and just, and sometimes what works for you may not work for someone else. But, these are some things you should consider, especially like when you're taking Neem. But Neem is really great. I've taken it, and it's been wonderful for me. And another one comes out of Japan. It's called Camellia Oil, and it's actually in a lot more of natural products than you would think, but no one talks about it. But it's an extract from green tea, and it's really, really great if you can get the oil on its own. Now, some companies have gone out and, again, put these extravagant price tags on them. And, not that it won't work. I'm sure it'll work. But again, are you paying $80 for a jar of something as opposed to, you can pay like maybe $18 for something? You can find these things at a much lower rate. And especially if you're in the States and you live around a natural food store, a lot of these things can be found right in there. So really, if you do a Google search and you see these things and, don't just go rush out. Some of the price tags are just insane. They're outrageous. And it's unnecessary, in my opinion. So, it's just, it's really, I don't know. It's unconscionable. But at any rate, these are some of my favorite oils. I just wanted to share them with you. So I wanted to give you that information. Of course, like always, it's just information. And these are just some of my favorites. If I were to, go into how many of my oils I have, in my house, I kid you not, we have like a store worth of between oils and essential oils and teas. And, it's just like the sky is the limit. But you really have to know about these things. You really have to know about these things and how to use them, when to use them. And there's things, I'm telling you, there's things out there that people have never heard of. Sometimes people like tea tree, they get a good advertising company behind them, and all of a sudden it's like good, press for them, and it's well known. And of course they sell out everywhere. And tea tree is great and it's wonderful, but it's not the only thing out there. So it's really good to know that there are some of these other things. And that they're great multitaskers for a lot of stuff. But, so I just want to give you like an intro into some of the oils. I wanted to try to kind of switch gears and do something a little bit more fun instead of just saying you can't eat, you can't play, you can't drink water, you can't breathe air, you can't, so I wanted to do a little bit fun. I was kidding with one of my girlfriends from the broadcast, and I asked her if she had bought her bubble yet. It's just, it is. So, I'm putting this information out there, and it is very overwhelming, but it's not meant to scare anyone. It's just information. And, you want to just be more aware. That's what, the goal is, be more aware. And of course you're going to be exposed. It's very hard not to be exposed. But when you get that exposure, we got to learn how to take care of that and minimize the risk, that's happening to us. But this should not, this information shouldn't make you crazy. It should just make you more aware. So that's it for today, because I think I've exceeded my time. And, again, I'd love to do these things and longer, but I myself, it's just, it can be very much overwhelming. But so that's it, everyone. And I just want to thank everyone again for tuning into another edition of Kosher 2.0. And I am hoping to be with you soon.